And welcome to a monthly segment here that we call Heartbeat OK. Happy to be joined by the American Heart Association every month about various topics. It is the holiday season. We have a very timely topic, and that's how to handle the holiday stress. So here to give us some tips and pointers, and I'm very interested to get into this conversation with Dr. Susan Robinson, Program Coordinator with the State Employee Wellness Program, and I can only imagine how big that is with all the state employees we have.
35,000 plus employees. Wow.
So it's a small program.
Yes.
35,000 of your closest friends. And Shante Fenner, I hope I said that correctly. Check Change Control Director.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. All right, lots to get into. And Doctor, we'll start with you. Holiday stress. What are some, let's back up for a second, this State Employee Wellness Program. Give me an overview of what that is.
It has actually been in existence since 1997, and it is like a lot of corporate wellness programs where we cover anything from nutrition, stress management, physical health, moving into a new frontier now in well-being, where we're looking at career well-being, community well-being, and financial well-being, because a lot of those things interlock and affect everybody's health in one way or another.
Absolutely, so they do. That is very crucial to your well-being, to how you enjoy your life and your career. Absolutely. But you must travel a lot.
Yes, I have, more so in the past 2 years, not so much this year because of doing the new strategic planning, but yes, we will travel. I've been from Boise City to Idabel, and going Thursday to Tulsa to do a lunch and learn. So yeah, I do travel. We do travel.
It's always good to get out and see the state, but I'm sure you meet lots of interesting people as well.
Yes, and meet the employees. That's the biggest thing. Is there some areas of the state that honestly said, well, we feel like we're forgotten about out here. So, yeah.
Well, it's good. Good that you guys are making that effort to get that FaceTime, literally face-to-face versus just FaceTime over the computer. Right. Shante, real fast, we'll get back to those top 5 tips in a second. Give me an overview of your program.
Well, the Check Change Control program is a research-based program. It started in Duke University, was piloted by Duke's Clinical Research Institute. And what it is a 4-month program where we ask people to check their blood pressure once a week for 4 months. And what we know is that if we can get people to check their blood pressure on a consistent basis and be aware of what it is, that we can help to either change it or help to control it where it is. So it's a wonderful program that's available out there for anybody who would like to join.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. We'll dive into that in just a second. Getting back to the holiday stress, though, what are some tips that we should try to implement over the next couple weeks?
Well, American Psychological Association has said the top things that cause holiday stress are time. With our already busy schedules, adding more time for parties, shopping, those kind of things. Money was the big one. Sometimes they're just not prepared, you know, and we go in debt. Then getting together with family members we only get together with during this time.
Maybe there's a reason we only get together with some of the family members this time of year.
Right, and we just get too busy. And travel throws our sleep off. We're staying up later for parties. We tend to get a little more sedentary during that time. And some people are lonely. They've gone through life changes, obviously, death of loved ones. Maybe even divorce that can happen, and that totally changes up the family dynamics.
Because the holidays, well, it changes the dynamics, you're right, but it also, the holidays can spark memories, and when that person is no longer there, that can be mentally tough to deal with.
Absolutely.
You mentioned time. Sleep is pretty important, right?
Yes, very, very important.
So how many hours should we be getting, and then any tips for how you fit in that much sleep during the busy schedules?
Honestly, the least amount probably recommended is 6, but the prime would be 7 to 8.
So you should really ballpark 7 to 8 hours every night.
Yes.
And exercise.
Exercise is very important because of the chronic stress that can happen. Exercise is the one thing to help combat that natural fight or flight response, which you produce more fats and sugars. The cortisol affects everything in the immune system. And the fight or flight was meant for you to be active, to either fight or actually run. And so by getting activity in and moving, that helps get rid of the stress hormones. It helps use up those stored fats and sugars as well.
Doctor, you mentioned planning, and I think that's probably crucial as we go through the holiday season. But what's a plan that perhaps people could implement that's not crazy, but doable? Maybe it's exercising just a set amount per week.
Well, of course, obviously I speak with employees, but we're trying to get them to every 57 minutes get up and do something for 3. I mean, you can do push-ups against your cubicle wall, you can do sits, I mean, the squats there in your chair, get up, go to the restroom, just move around, just getting up and moving for 3 minutes. Get a group going at work to do a little walk break, even if it's 10 minutes, and you don't have to do the 30 minutes all at once. You can spread it out 10 minutes at a time. And so it is something that you have to consciously do to say, yes, I'm going to get up and move. And so even those that are at home, it's like, don't sit in front of the TV for more than an hour before get up and do something. Clean, you know, you can get up during commercials. In an hour-long program, you can get in 20 minutes of movement just because there's 20 minutes of commercials. So you have to look for the ways. It is a conscious effort to look for that way to move.
And then that develops habits and lifestyle, which leads to a healthier lifestyle, and then perhaps
Yes.
Ramp up your training program as we get into January and February.
Yes. Yeah, the future, everybody always joins the gym right after the first of the year. They go gung-ho without really consciously thinking seriously about what is realistic. That's the biggest thing. As a part of my job, we also did health coaching, and inevitably people wanted to lose 50 pounds in 1 year or 50 pounds in 6 months, and it was just, you didn't gain weight overnight, you didn't get out of shape overnight. It is something that you have to progressively do, or you could get burnt out or injure yourself if you try to do too much. And so, yes, it's nice to, you know, to set those goals and have a plan after the first of the year, but make it realistic.
One last thing before we get to the check, change, control portion of our segment here. Holiday parties, you mentioned planning. We'll go back to the planning thing. I was reading among our information here, eating a healthy snack perhaps before you go to the holiday parties so you're not quite as hungry and munching on, you know, the cookies and the candies and stuff like that. But the sugars and the salts in a lot of the holiday candies can lead to some unhealthy eating or whatever, but also could affect your blood pressure and stuff like that from the sugars and the salt.
It is. It's like a vicious cycle. Number one, we're stressed. We're, like I said, we're busy during this time, and so when we're stressed, you actually crave those feel-good foods. And you're like, I need that donut, or I want, you know, when you find yourself saying that, it's like.
I'm not sure I'm stressed when I say I want that donut. Sometimes I just want a donut.
That's true. Maybe it's not for every time, but it does tend to want you on those comfort foods. Mm-hmm. And so, and we also look at this like, okay, this is the time of year that we are going to eat. And so you don't have to have a huge piece of cake and a huge bag of chips here, or, you know, all of this stuff. You actually can eat smaller portions of those things. And there's always the small amount of healthy foods at parties. Mm-hmm. And so just make sure that you load up more on those and still allow yourself, you know, don't demonize the food, but
moderation.
Moderation, absolutely.
And if you're throwing a party, perhaps provide more of the healthy snacks versus.
And there's all kinds of healthy recipes, very tasty, healthy versions of our favorite recipes that we've done. And so. Yeah.
Good ideas, good ideas. We mentioned the salt and the sugar can lead to some blood pressure, hypertension, or whatever. So let's get back into that part of this check, change, control. 4-month program. 4-month
program. And just what you've heard, stress is one of the factors that can lead to raising your blood pressure. And so as you're thinking about holiday parties and you're planning, why don't you just plan on having a check, change, control party and say, this year we're going to be very healthy and very cognizant of checking our blood pressure. And so maybe saying, I need everybody at the party tonight to, let's get in the habit of checking our blood pressures. Let's make a New Year's resolution to be healthier mind, body, and soul. all the way around. Let's do all of those things.
And you said routine checking of blood pressure actually leads, you've seen, to lower your blood pressure.
Absolutely. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know where they stand as far as their blood pressure numbers are concerned, which is quite astounding. It was astounding to me when I came to the American Heart Association to find that out. And they don't realize how high or even where they are ranging. So they're surprised when we are there and taking blood pressures and signing people up for the program. So we know that if we can get people to just check their blood pressure and become aware of it, the first time is always the question of, this is a fluke, this isn't really my blood pressure, and to get them to come back again on their own to check their blood pressure and go, oh, it really might be this might be my normal, so that they can begin to ask questions and say, what can I do in order to lower my blood pressure? So do I need to start eating differently, which is falling into that making a plan? Do I need to watch my salt intake? What do I need to do in order to lower my blood pressure?
Awareness, that's key.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the wellness program that you're in charge of, or one of the coordinators of with the state. We have, of course, a wellness program here as well, and an annual checkup, if you will, for insurance purposes and whatever. We had ours about a month ago, and when I went in, my blood pressure was way up. So I was like, I don't know if it's just getting off the desk and going up there that spiked it, but they said what you should do, Dave, is exactly what you're talking about. Get yourself a blood pressure monitor at home, start checking in. If it stays up in that area where you're close to hypertension here, some concern, then go to your doctor and get a checkout, which is exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
So I did. I went to Target, I believe, and bought a $50, $60 blood pressure monitor. And frankly, they have far cheaper versions, but this one plugged in well to my iPhone. So, being the tech geek, I was like, well, this is perfect for me. I'll be able to monitor it, track it on my phone. And it came back down. But I think you're exactly right. The awareness is key. And there's a lot of different ways to do that from home. Devices that you could find at a Walgreens or whatever.
Absolutely. And the great thing about this program is it's through Heart 360. So if people want to log on, they can go to www.heart360.org/OKC. They can sign up for the Check Change Control program on their own if they wanted to. And the great thing about it is they can sign up for text messages. So it can text you and ask you reminders and say, what was your blood pressure this week? And you can text back the answer and it will automatically upload into the system. And then participants are able,
cool.
I know, it's really cool. Yeah. Participants are able to print off a document and be able to chart their blood pressure over a length of time, that 4 months, and print that off and take that to the doctor if they had any questions. So it's really fabulous, really accessible for anyone to use.
Pretty easy and a good utility.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. Shante Fenner and Dr. Susan Robinson. Ladies, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right, another segment of the Heartbeat OK with our friends at the American Heart Association can be found next month on newsok.com.